Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Canden, and happy Monday to you. It's the first of the month, and I'm super excited that all you guys are joining. So I'm gonna wait a little bit for you guys to hop in. Actually, I might introduce. Okay, I see y'all trickling in one by one. So we'll let y'all hop on. I'm sorry we late, y'all. We on CP time, but it's okay. Y'all my people, so y'all understand how it can be on a Monday. So we'll let you guys come in a little bit. I have my panelists up already so that you guys can see the all the variation and stuff of what we about to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So you guys come in a trip. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this. So y'all trickling in, but listen, I gotta be dramatic for y'all. Y'all know how I am. So we're gonna introduce them one by one, just so y'all can have a dramatic effect, of them coming in, right? Okay, so first of all, welcome. My name is Canden, and I'm super happy that you decided to join this live with us. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk about some stuff, y'all, because that's what we do. We talk about this stuff. But I am happy that you chose to be here on this live because you could be anywhere on the internet in the world, right? So I see y'all coming in. Y'all know it's my birthday? Like, first of all, life is such a gift. And I'm super excited to be another year. Thank you. Oh, I see y'all. Hey, Paul, what's up? How you doing? Tasha. You guys, I still have to watch Tasha. Tasha just dropped a new YouTube video, and she's a bomb world traveler and sewer. Thank you. Yes, it's my birthday. Thank you. I see y'all coming in. You guys say hi in the chat. Wave to me. Drop an emoji. Send a cake in there. I ain't had no cake today, so you could, if you wanna do a cake emoji, that's cool too. So we're going to try to maintain and be aware of the time, but I promise you guys it's going to be hard because we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about in this panel. I appreciate you guys for joining us last night when we talked to the ladies, and we had such a great time, and we kept it 100. We tried to keep it as 100 as possible. So we talked about, of course, some love, sex, and relationship things. We talked about dating and from a woman's perspective, but I wanted to get a different perspective because I think that communication sometimes can be difficult or challenging. We won't say difficult, challenging is like a nicer, prettier word in the millennial world when you're talking about these subjects. So we have some awesome influencers for tonight, and I'm gonna just give you a little bit about them before I bring them in, okay? Yeah, just for the, you know how we like to do it. Okay, so first I want to welcome this brother to this live stream stage. He is a Black Christian business owner who empowers through business education and event-based gatherings. He is CEO of Be the Pulse, a brand new Christian event platform that creates community through parties and fellowship outside of the church building. How many of y'all know that's what we need right there? He's a YouTuber and social media influencer, and he's my friend. So I want you guys to show love to Cyrus. Hey, Cyrus.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful to the Lord for another year. Let me try to get this centered. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, so Cyrus, where are you calling in from? You live in the ATL?
I live in Atlanta, hot Atlanta, and it's never been hotter.
Now, so do men like, is it hot? So when you have the whole beard situation, that's nice. Does it depend on the weather? Like, does your haircut change depending on how hot it is sometimes?
Nah,
like, I don't know that.
Nah, I mean, it depends. Some dudes do the no shave November, then they cut it off and all of that. I mean, it depends on. For me, it depends on like what my wife wants or what my girlfriend wants in the future.
Oh, well, praise the Lord. On that note, all right, okay, well, I like that. Okay, on that note, we're gonna welcome in our second panelist. This guy is an Atlanta creative. I got the ATL folks in the building. He is founder and CEO of an innovative social enterprise, Kingdom Writers. I follow them and they're amazingly awesome. Caleb is also a musician, a writer, a graphic designer. He multi-talented, y'all. video editor and entrepreneur. He's a grad student in professional counseling. Shout out to all the people in counseling, psychology, therapy, and Jesus. And he is an advocate, obviously, for mental health. He creates culture for Christ. So welcome to our live stream panelist, Caleb Deas. Hey, Caleb.
Hey, how you doing? Happy birthday.
Thank you. So nice to have you both on. And last but certainly not least, you guys, thank you for all the birthday love. I see you guys giving a shout out. Hey, Tawana. Hi, Kimberly. She said 404, represent the ATL. That's right. That's right. All right. So last but not least, we're going to welcome in our third and final panelist. Christian is the founder of Story Marketing and the Love Art brand, an arts and entertainment company that supports young creatives of color and help them develop in their creative nature. He's from the DMV. He's an online motivator and an advocate of self-love and love for others. I want you guys to welcome Christian Benjamin.
What's up, everyone? How y'all doing? Happy birthday, by the way. I did not know it was your birthday. You're 21
Thank
again.
you. Yes, it is. Okay, so you guys can see everybody. I know this is like a weird screening here, so we have some different camera angles, but everybody should be able to be seen and heard. You guys drop your anything that you can. If somebody goes out, please let me know in the chat. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. Christian, now you're in the DMV.
I am.
Okay, so Christian's from the DMV, and then you two are both in Atlanta, Cyrus and Caleb, right? Now, is Atlanta open? Is everything like everybody out or not? Or it's open, but we not open. We still at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in the DMV, well, I don't. You know what? Honestly, I don't know that DMV ever. I don't know that the D in the DMV ever really closed for real.
Oh look, we closed over where I'm at. We got curfew and everything.
Okay.
I'm in the city proper, and we are closed. We open at night though for the riots.
Curfew due to the pandemic.
To the riots. We just got an alert on my phone, 7:00. You got to be inside.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on outside in the DC area.
Yeah, well, now it's definitely closed. Well, we send in safeness to everybody. There's a lot of craziness going on. So, guys, I'm so happy that you're able to join us and just talk a little bit about some of the things that are relevant to us as younger folks in the generation, in the culture, or whatever. So I wanted to jump right into the conversation and just kind of ask about the whole pandemic quarantine, because that was like, we've never experienced anything like that in our lives. Well, I haven't. I don't know. Y'all.
No, I don't think anybody. I think our grandparents have it.
So how has your dating perception kind of been altered in the quarantine? Have you stopped? Like, just how you were like, okay, we're in a pandemic, so it's like nothing, or is it like still a potential to build meaningful relationships while we're, in quarantine? You guys kind of just take it as it comes, and whoever wants to answer can go for it.
I go. So I have a girlfriend. We've been dating for about 7 months now.
Okay, smile though. Look at the smile.
and it's been really rough and tough for us to actually date as far as seeing each other,
Yeah.
I saw her kind of twice, I would say, but really only once. I was out in Illinois.
Hold on. What? So you saw her only once in the time of the pandemic?
Basically, sort of twice, but really only once. So I was in Illinois for a school thing, and I got back. The world had changed when I got back, and so I kind of spent some time at her house for like a little bit when I got back, and then just kind of moving forward from there. One, we're trying to figure out, how this all works in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to side on the side of safety. But this virus, honestly, like the only way anything is to get checked. Like that's the only way. And then like even if you don't have the symptoms, you can still have it. So that's really problematic unless you're getting checked.
So how are you guys maintaining quality time in your relationship? Because a lot of our viewers may be in, relationships. So how are you guys maintaining quality time? Do you have like a schedule, or just kind of like you call each other? Because it's also hard. I've noticed that it's also a little bit more challenging in the quarantine to like have a set schedule, but also you still are people. We're still working. We're still doing a lot of different stuff, building our brands and these kind of things while the pandemic is going on. So it's not like you just have. Well, for me, I don't have ample free time. Like my time is. So are you still like able to connect? Is it like random? Like whenever I call you, I just call you, or like now do y'all have like a system so that you're not up until 4 a.m.? I'm asking for.
It's a little bit of both. It's a bit of both. It's random in the sense of, if I want to talk to her, I'm gonna see if I can talk to her. But we actually also have a schedule, so we don't have to worry about, you're doing this at this time, doing this at this time, and we don't have any time for each other at all. So we did make a little bit of a schedule to work that out. And one time we was like, forget it. We're just gonna do this anyway. Go to a park where there's like hardly nobody at, and just chill all day. But
okay, so y'all are like let's have an underground date at the park, even though we might get arrested. Let's just okay.
No. I mean, this is after Georgia like opened back up and everything.
No, I'm just joking. I'm not judging. Never mind. Okay, so anyway, how are you guys dealing with Cyrus and Christian? How are you guys dealing with the whole pandemic thing? Has that changed your ability to connect with women? Is it better? Is it worse? What's it like?
I would say on my end, I've experienced two different scenarios at the beginning. Like, to be honest with you, I'm one of those people, the gift and the curse. I work a lot, travel a lot. I really didn't really make time for dating. I kind of felt like that'll come when it comes. But, I noticed that the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, especially when we got into it, we was quarantined, couldn't go anywhere, everything shut down. I definitely found myself on dating apps and just being nosy. I call it nosy. I mean, I don't have a problem with dating apps, but just being a little more conversational than I usually am, look the social media, the dating apps, different things like that. Because like you said, we had nothing but time. But then when I really connected with someone that I already kind of was speaking with, it seems like now it allowed me to be very intentional with my time again, in terms of kind of getting rid of, again, I don't want to talk down app dating and apps and things like that's negative. I'm just saying in my space, it allowed me to refocus on my work and things I needed to do. And then, like you said, set that dedicated time to have conversation and come up with creative ways. I say that the second half of the pandemic has been almost a blessing, because there's no other time that I would be able to speak and connect and get to know someone truthfully, like as deep as I've been able to do over the past couple of weeks. And also be very creative in how we spend time. Hey, let's watch this same movie at the same time, or something like that. It's a creative idea that you can't go to a restaurant and kind of be around noise, or you can't fill your time with. Dating isn't frivolous, but other activities that may not allow you to connect mentally with someone. And I'm noticing that, and I think that that's a weird blessing in the past couple of weeks that we've been in this time period, for myself at least.
Yeah, no, that's good. You get kind of like a different experience with figuring out some more meaningful ways. Like you have to put a little more thought into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear you saying. Cyrus, what's good?
Yeah, so ours is kind of similar. Mine is kind of similar to Christian's, where I was open to dating, and I would try to get to know someone here and there, but for the most part, I legit was way too busy to even notice that I wasn't, really notice that I was like missing that person in my life. And yeah, when everything got shut down, my life hasn't changed too much because most of my work I do is from home. So my life hasn't too much, but I have a little bit more time since I'm not able to go out and socialize as much as I used to. So because of that free time, being at home and working on my business, those elements definitely have me noticing like, dang, man, I'm working on this business stuff, and it'll be so dope to have like wife here with me and us to work on our business plans together, and us to just Netflix and chilling and all this. And I was like, yeah, that's when I started feeling it. And I definitely started using that time to go ahead and pay a little bit more attention to people that might have slid in my DM or somebody that I'm like cool with and be like, okay, like let me get to know them a little bit further and see if there's more to this.
Okay, I got a question because Cyrus said maybe, first of all, quarantine, y'all, I feel like quarantine, you start realizing I can't really go nowhere and I kind of need someone to help me cook.
I realized something about cooking.
To the let me see. I need a wife. No, I'm just messing with you guys. But this is a good. I got a viewer question that sent it to me in advance, and she said, "Is it okay for the woman to slide in the DMs? How do you guys kind of feel about women making the first move? Is that positive or is that?"
I think that's great. I think that's a great thing because I was talking with a friend a couple months ago, and he was explaining how he felt like, men like us, we're kind of raised to be rejected. Like, ever since a kid, if you go talk to that girl at the dance, she's going to turn you down and go to the next one. Like, you're kind of raised to be rejected, and you're used to it and expect it. So I feel like when somebody reaches out to you and shows interest, you can only respect that. Like, you kind of feel, I think it puts you at a level of comfort, and you feel that if you're mutually feeling the other person and want to follow back up, I just feel like that's a good space to be in, like reaching out to someone who reached out to you first. I don't think there's any protocol in, if you find someone that you think is a great person online and they could be a potential someone, why wouldn't you DM them? You might never see them again. Why wouldn't you send a message? So I think it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Christian entirely. I think people mistake people don't realize there's a difference between introducing yourself versus pursuing someone. So I see a woman sliding in my DMs, even if they're like, hey, I like what you post about, I like, whatever. To me, that's just her introducing herself, saying, hey, that's not her pursuing me. That's not her, starting a relationship or anything like that. That's just basically her stepping up and saying, what's up? So yeah, I'm all the way here for that.
Okay.
I would say the same, really. It depends on how you do it. If you're just introducing yourself, that's cool. But not everybody just does that. Some people really, really go for it, and I don't find that attractive. I feel like that's it just feels weird. And it just depends how you go about it. If you I don't know, just if you're hard pressed, in my face, it's a no, not feeling that. But if you're just introducing yourself, even just letting me know you think I'm attractive, that would be cool. But I definitely don't go for the hardcore.
Okay.
Are you feeling me? I want this, that, right here, right now,
Okay. Yeah, Miss Chelsea said, is this from a single person's perspective? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All of these men are single, so one of them is in a committed relationship. But my mama said, if you ain't married, you still, because of the fact that there's no girlfriend and boyfriend in the Bible, praise God, there's husband and wife. You're still, your status is still technically single, but even though we respect your committed relationship, all of them is pretty much.
I agree with that.
I'll be talking to people in my DMs. Just
But no, I mean, I agree with what Caleb said. Like, respect it. A lot of people feel like men are kind of all about looks and being crass, and that's not all the way true. I have friends from all different walks of life, all different phases, right? And most of them don't really, unless they're only searching for that thing. A lot of men, especially as you get older, do want someone that's going to start off with a conversation or a funny joke and kind of lead it towards there, because you do want somebody that you're like, man, I can go hang out. I would want to go hang out with her, not somebody you're just in your mind with. That's just somebody that wants to sleep with me. I want to go sleep with them. It's more of something where you're looking for something substantial. Even something I've even learned is even men that think they're not looking for something substantial really are looking for something substantial. They just haven't worked on themselves enough to really project that when in a room with other men.
Okay, but hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let's rewind, because I need to know, and I know there's a lot of women who want to know about this whole sliding in the DMs thing. So I know a lot of women. So I have friends who, some of them would definitely slide in the DM. Others would never, never not to introduce. I mean, they may comment. They would be like, "You look nice," or
Yeah.
"That's a nice shirt," or like
Anybody can say that. My sister can say I look nice.
Yeah, so this is very interesting to me, and I want everybody to kind of like, hear this kind of perspective, because for a lot of women, they would just not do it. It's like considered like, why would I ever do that? Because it just seems a certain way. But you guys are totally open to the main thing is just breaking the ice and not making it so uncomfortable to start a conversation. That's what I'm hearing, right?
You're literally just starting a conversation. Like you're not. There's nothing else that you're getting out of but a conversation. If it goes any further than that, that's all great. But again, the way we're specifically talking about social media. If you find someone that you've seen their content and you like the way they speak, something, whatever it is that attracts you to that person, that was probably hopefully more than just looks. That person may not see your page. It doesn't mean like if you think that's somebody enough that you're thinking in your head, maybe I should talk to them. I want to get to know them. Why would you miss out on that for some type of like protocol that you set up that nobody even follows, right?
Yeah.
You set that up yourself.
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's so true. Okay, so we have so based on that, once you kind of figure out that you do have things in common with the person, what's the best way? How do you guys go about like the whole dating process? I know I've heard several perspectives on building, kind of like getting to know the person. But I think a lot of times when in situations where you don't know the person, expectations can be kind of like different as you go. So what kind of do you guys do to keep the communication? Are you dating and kind of explaining like where you're at from the beginning? Because at what point, because in your relationships, when you first meet somebody, someone might be ready, someone might be looking for a wife, and then on the other end, someone might be like, well, you seem interesting, but I don't really know if I'm really trying to get, married at this moment. So what is your thoughts on why you're dating and what you're saying when you're dating to kind of like clear those lines of communication?
From
why the deep side? Cyrus was like,
yeah, because I was thinking about even the last couple times I've had the conversation. It's really interesting. I remember when I was younger, but not necessarily the age, but just more so like when my mindset was different. I wasn't looking for anything serious. I remember I came into women that supposedly wanted something serious, and now that I'm like at a place in life, at a maturity point, most importantly, it's like I surprisingly meet women that it's like an ongoing thing of them being like, oh my God, I prayed for a man like you. But then it's like, oh, but I'm not ready. And so, yeah, I like to have that conversation relatively early on. Honestly, if it's kind of hand in hand with almost knowing like if that woman loves, it's like, okay, kind of if I can't tell by stuff she does in her life, like her relationship with God, we're going to discuss that. And then if we've gotten to the point where we can tell, we're interested, we're attracted, all of that, then I will ask them like, yo, like what are you looking for? Because this is what I'm looking for. Like I'm not looking to just kick it with somebody, looking for an arm candy. I want a friendship. The way I usually define it is I want a romantic friendship, because we ain't about to know
friendship. Okay, I like that.
Like friendship with some little light flirting, some romantic friendship that can develop into a serious relationship with the desired goal of it leading to marriage. And that is the way that I usually kind of describe it and lay it out.
Yeah.
I like the way you phrase that.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate that, bro.
Just like the desired goal to get married, like that's I feel like that's something a lot of ladies miss sometimes, because I feel like they so hard pressed to get you to date them. But if marriage is the goal, I'm not going to be quick to date you, like to be in a relationship, because that's the desired goal. And so if I'm not sure about you at this at this stage, not going to jump into the relationship for it to just fall apart. So that's definitely something I want to like talk about early on. You know, what we're doing, what this is about, what my interests are, what your interests are, and you know what that means for both of us, because everybody has a different meaning of even what dating is. You know, so I definitely want to get that straightened out early on.
Okay, we have a question on the floor. Juana Berg says, "What happened to the old school ways of me making the moves? Like men making the moves. I think she's saying men making the moves. So like you guys are saying like you know it relieves the pressure or whatever. Is it like a smile? Like you know how in real life you are out and about in the grocery store and like you look at someone and like they smile and you know that that's like the go ahead because in a real world, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys. Most women who are like churchy, I can't think of another word. I'm gonna say churchy because we've been in church our whole lives. We probably not gonna be in there in the DMs like, hey, you look real nice, or I like that. Like we just might not do that because we just haven't been. We have not necessarily been conditioned to do things like that in the church. We're more so taught to just kind of like chill and like you know. He who finds a wife, you know, and he got to find her, and then she got to be like hidden. And I don't know, you know, I'm not saying it's like absolute, but I'm saying that's how we are like conditioned, and we tend to want a traditional type of pursuit. So, what would you say to that? Are you noticing that like those are the only types of relationships that are now so more so getting pursued? Are the ones where like you need the smile and the wink? Is what we're asking.
Well, I would say one to Juana, nothing has happened to men pursuing women. It will always be the case. But we specifically said what about women sliding in the DMs or pursuing? Is that cool? And yes, that's great. But yes, men will always pursue women, and yes, we should. But in terms of what you're saying of the sliding in the DMs, I might not say it like that. Like I've had all types of people sliding in the DMs, but I'm gonna say it more like there's different ways. You don't always have to slide in and start talking about how the person looks and different. I've had women, you can tell, like you said, the wink and the smile. The wink and the smile is in our culture, in the DM world, is, man, I love what you're doing. I really respect that. Where are you from? Or something like that. Like it's starting a conversation. Like most of the time, a woman is not going to even start a conversation with a random guy she doesn't know if she isn't interested in some way of something, right? And if she doesn't take it straight to, okay, now I want to partner up in this business idea or something, then you know, you should kind of have the discerning spirit to kind of know, okay, this person's slightly interested in me. Let's converse. Let's see where this goes. Just as friends, right? You're not. I mean, I don't think you would jump out the window on well, how you're thinking, but it's still going to be a conversation. Okay, let's see where this goes. So I think that's all fine and dandy right there. I think that's amazing, and I still stick with the it's okay to slide in the DMs.
Gotcha.
For in terms of so first, thank you for that question, but the whole notion of, you know, like, oh, well, what happened to the old school way? The old school way, I personally don't care about an old school way or a new school way. I for the most part try to go by like God, and you know, so the old school way of, you know, the biblical way, obviously, yes, men are supposed to to wives. Is that my phone?
No, that's sorry. Go ahead.
I thought that was Atlanta saying Atlanta's burning right now. Background. But no. So just being straight up, yeah. Just going back to what he said, that there's, even when we say he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Yes, that is the word of God. I think we sometimes put too much emphasis on the word find, as if like, you know, you could get a email notification about a job that's hiring. You're not going to say that job found you. You're going to say, I found a job, even though technically the job introduced itself to you. And so it's the same. It's like you introducing yourself to a man, he still has to find you as a wife. He still has to see you, acknowledge you, get to know you, and be like, oh, because even when a man finds you in and of that moment, he's not like, oh yeah, you wife. It's like he gets to know you. And then there's a realization that, oh, I found a wife. And so there's nothing wrong with just, you know, introducing, just talking. There's different personality types. There's some dudes that there's some men that are just they're not gonna slide in someone's DMs, and it's not because they don't know how to pursue. It's just they don't know how to introduce, and so those are completely different things. And then there are some women that have like very strong, big personalities where to them it's like, oh, like I just want to say hey and compliment him and allow him to take it from there and see what happens. And so I think that's a really big thing. Really, that's the difference at the end of the day. It's okay, there's a difference between you introducing and then you aggressively trying to force the conversation to keep going versus you just introducing and then him responding back, and then you responding, and then the conversation just turning it to a dance, and then you allowing him to take the lead. And if he doesn't take the lead, and it's like, okay, I'm good because he don't seem like this dude could lead anyway, so I'm good.
Yeah, no, I think that I definitely understand the balance that is 2020 in the dating world, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We gotta. I think more. I'm glad that we're having this conversation because, you know, I like to say all my friends are cute because I believe that they are. But
women, all
of my friends are cute, and a lot of them would never. They just. It's not even like a prideful thing. They just would. It's just not something that they would do because it's almost like telling you they're interested and they just don't feel like it's a woman's place to do that. You know,
it's simple. It could be like liking a few stuff. It could be commenting on some things. You know, just very, very like, you know, simple things like that. Even for me, if I see someone that I might be interested in and I see them liking a bunch of my stuff, and you know, I see them commenting and being really nice. To me, that's the go ahead to like, you know, probably like hit them up or whatever. Or I'll see something in their story and I'll like comment their story, do that whole thing. And so, yeah, there's different ways there's definitely different ways to go about it. Yeah. So that's real. Some women that's real.
Y'all are lit in these comments. I'm not even, you know what? Let's move on to the next question. So you guys, thank you for those answers. I really appreciate it. So this brings us to the next kind of portion. Like, do you think in the love role, because there's this thing of like, is there the one? Is there the one? Is it like you found the one for you, or is it several options? Or like, look at Sai, he going into like the sunken. Is it like, and I know that like a lot of times we talk about this repeatedly, but I guess I would want to know your perspective on not so much is there one, because it doesn't have to be one. But is it something that God kind of positions like before you? Or is it more so like you just choose, you just pick and choose like, oh, I like that. And so I'm going to go for that. Or is it like some sort of divine intervention that tells you like, oh, that's my husband, that's my wife. I'm sorry, y'all. I know the people like, happy birthday, I don't know how to turn them off. So excuse me, company.
Well, personally, I have a theory that I talk to my boys about. Doesn't make it fact, it's just my theory. I feel like God puts someone in your life that's really there for you, and the rest of the people, the rest of the women are there to kind of teach you something and or help you out. The reason why we talk about this a lot is because a lot of men, especially the more fluent and kind of doing certain things with their life, meet a lot of women. And so they are making a decision when they meet these women. It's like, you know what, I'm going to start trying to pursue them a little bit for whatever reason they have. And then they bounce around a lot, right? And so we sit down and talk about how, man, I wonder if you met 20 women over the span of 2 years. What if the 19 of them you were really supposed to speak a good word in their life, or whatever it is, something that wasn't involved in pursuing them and then letting them down, and they could have been of value to your life or your future or whatever you got going on. I feel like a lot of us waste time and kind of waste relationships that could have benefited us in a different way by trying to chase people without any intention, right? And then when you really come across that one, it's a little more clear because you're not out here dipping in every pool and every puddle or trying to, you know, chase around a bunch of women without intention. So I do, in my core, do believe that God has put someone here. And if you're patient enough, you will meet that person. And it's up to you to have built yourself up personally and spiritually enough to be a benefit to that person. So when y'all meet, it really is sparks. So that's just my theory, but that's my answer.
I think
that's very good, and I like that. Don't be dipping, so y'all don't be dipping in every puddle.
He did.
That theory's got to be true.
Before I move on.
I'm pretty sure it's true. I'll say that because I'm, I kind of had a different theory at first, kind of like there might be the one per se, but that's, you still have that choice to make, right? But when I met my girlfriend, it was just different, and it's hard to explain, but everything is just different. It's effortless, and I promise you, it's literally everything just lines up. Everything is just. I feel like I was living a movie. I still feel like I'm living in a movie because it just doesn't make sense, right?
Wait, is she in the chat? Let's ask that. No, I'm just waiting. Is she in the chat? Well, so how long have you guys been talking and getting to know each other? If you don't mind sharing that. You said it's like a movie, so you got to tell me a little more.
I mean, if you want to count the month we talked, just being friends before we started dating, it'd be like 8 months.
Okay.
But,
so that's 2020 and 2020. That's like accelerated.
That's 8 years.
Y'all talked for a month and then y'all got in a relationship. Y'all been together for 7 months.
Right.
That's dope.
So before that, so let's just create some context for the people, Caleb. So if we can ask your age?
Sure. I am 27.
Okay, 27. So before that, did it never feel effortless? Like, was dating challenging?
It was more challenging. It felt different. Like, not gonna date somebody that you're not interested in, that you're not gelling with in the first place. But it's just a whole nother different level of, like it's just a kind of thing. And so,
okay,
I really think that, and it's just the way the way it happened for me is just like I wasn't looking for anybody at the time per se, like because I kind of just finished talking to somebody, kind of sort of, and I was like, girls are whack, and I was like, no, thank you.
I was like, girls are whack. Wow.
Yeah, I was just kind of over it for a little minute, but I was kind of in the middle of doing something for business sake. And I turned into me having a friend, like a legit friend that I had a good conversation with, that I found out had shared values and just had the same appreciation for things. And it just kind of took off, like out the
Listen,
blue.
Caleb, we might need to just transfer you to the other. Okay. So we might need everybody like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like, shout out to y'all in the comments. Y'all, they hyping the relationship. They're like, look, this is great. This is you. Have you found her? Have you got it? No, that's really great because sometimes it can be a little bit challenging in the dating. Like, I feel that so many people, men and women, do have that whole not waiting to exhale moment, but that whole like, yeah, y'all suck. Like, I don't really know what y'all came to do, but actually, y'all actually suck. Everybody's trash. So I don't know what's happening right now, but I'm very, very happy that that you're able to make that connection. And so we're gonna pray if that's the Lord's will, that it be His will. So guys, I want to take us in a little bit further to some different questions now. So let's talk a little bit about your expectation from a male perspective of the dating process in the way of like sex, because I think these are very real conversations that kind of need to happen, especially with, responsible believers. Like, is abstinence important to men?
Overall? Like in general?
I was gonna say every guy. I would say no. What are we asking here?
Like today or last week? Well, okay. Yeah, like generally speaking, is abstinence an important thing?
No, definitely not important. It's not important to men at all. Yeah, not at all. Even I read some study or some statistic recently talking about even men in the church that I think statistically 4 out of 10 men, it's either 4 out of 10 men or 6 out of 10 men in the church claim to be abstinent or just waiting until marriage. And so if that's men in the church, what's that to say about, dudes everywhere else? So
so is it okay? Okay, so that's I appreciate that because that's very real, and the consensus is that like we don't know whether men are actually like exercising this. It seems like from like a bias standpoint that a lot of women are like worth the wait and the weight, and the women are always like the ones kind of deciding that it's the weight. So like, is it important to you guys in your own personal relationships as far as when you're dating? Are you like, well, we can wait if she want to wait? No, I'm being real. Are you like, well, if she decide to wait for us, or is it your own personal conviction that you want to be?
I think I'm going to be all the way honest. Abstaining, I would feel like it's probably the hardest thing. I'm only going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. It's the hardest thing to do in dating. And until I changed the word abstaining to celibacy, I really wasn't abstaining, and I was just kind of going with the flow, right? But then I had some issues about a couple years ago that were more outside of just personal life, trying to get my own spirit together, right? And I just wanted to change how I was as a person. I tried to look at every aspect of who I was. I wasn't a bad person, but I wanted to be better, right? And so I really started even thinking about my sexual life, and I started learning the difference between abstaining and celibacy. And abstaining, you can abstain from anything, right? But celibacy is a covenant more so focused on abstaining from sex, but also being more intentional about the covenant you're creating. So until I started speaking like that, which was very recent per se, but still it became easier because it was about a covenant to me, as opposed to just I'm abstaining from sex. Because when you just abstaining, it's like a discipline thing. Like there could be a bad night or something that somebody hit you, or you're over driving around and you whatever happens, and you just kind of fall off the wagon. And so I had to kind of put up guardrails to not fall off the wagon. I talked I have a friend that's a youth preacher, and he talked a lot about setting guardrails. And a lot of men, we think we can abstain until you have a moment, right? So you don't have any guardrails, you don't have any accountability in place that's going to help you. Even talking about abstaining or celibacy helps you, because a person will say, hey, I thought you were doing this, right? A lot of us don't even want to say it because you don't want the person to stop you if you have a moment, right? But you have to kind of set your life around being intentional. I don't think you could just abstain from sex. You have to put other avenues in your life that are inside of sex and outside of sex to be able to withhold from having sex, that are about accountability and spirituality and just growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw someone saying, somebody said in the chat, like, it's like a diet. People cheat on a diet all the time. And I think that's dope, because there's a difference between dieting and nutritioning. Like dieting is basically saying I'm not gonna do this particular thing, but nutritioning is like I'm actually gonna change the way that I'm eating. So it's not even that I'm focused on refraining from doing certain things, but instead I'm like focused on what I'm changing, like that I'm still being filled, but I'm being filled by something else. And it's not just in the meantime, like how dieting is, but it's like, no, this is like how my focus in my life is set up. And so I think that's important for people who are striving towards celibacy and honoring God's word. I know me, I've been every single type of dude, and I'm just gonna be straight up, because I've been a dude where plenty of women like told me they were not trying to wait, and I was trying to wait, and they turned me down because of that. Even women in church. I've been the flip side. I've been a dude that's turned women down because they were trying to wait and I was not trying to wait. And I've been the guy where I was trying to wait, and then somebody like was always tempting me, and then stuff would happen. And I feel like I've literally been like all over the place in different seasons. It hasn't been like this. It's been like just a whole lot. And so for me, the biggest thing the biggest thing that I noticed was that I do not talk. I don't talk to anyone that I'm not seriously interested in to pursue for marriage, because I do realize when I'm just like idly talking to someone with no real intention, then it's like if the end goal is not marriage, then the end goal is simply just my own self-pleasure, whether that's an arm candy, whether that is deep down I have to look and be like, bro, you trying to smash. Like I have to look at myself and be like, are you trying to, like, you trying to smash? And so I have to look at those things. So one, for me, it's really important. And that's why, like, whenever I guess sometimes I talk to girls and they be like, I'm just trying to kick it, like, and I'm like, you trying to kick it, like, no, if you gonna kick it, then understand, and it's gonna be some Netflix and chilling and not much Netflix going on. And so I try to keep those things away, and only allow women in my life that, like, where it's like intentional, like very intentional as to what we're building. Two, I make the biggest focus, for me, the biggest focus of the relationship is God. In period. It isn't, I don't make the biggest focus like, oh, like us, like make sure we don't have sex, make sure we don't have sex. It's like, because when you make the focus not trying to sin, that'll never make the relationship more godly. It'll just make the relationship like more, rule based. And so, and again, I'm not are important, like, like Christian said, like obviously have like guardrails and all of that, but really I've learned to just make the biggest focus like, God being a part of our life, us having grace. If she kissed me somewhere and I was like, oh, don't kiss me right there, or it's just like we're not gonna like, throw stones at the other person or make each other feel like, oh, I can't trust you or anything like that. It's just constant prayer, like us praying together, God to strengthen us. And just really truly growing like closer to God, making kingdom building a huge part of the relationship. Because when you have a focus, just like conditioning, when you have a focus that's about progress and you're not focused on like what you're trying to keep from doing, then that's when it feels good to date the person. It doesn't feel like a burden to not do things. You see what you're working towards, what you're building towards.
Yes. Yeah, no, I really love that, because I think sometimes even we get so caught up in the fantasy of like, oh, I know that since he told me when I kiss him there, that's like, yeah. And then like it plays in our heads. And even though we know we're not supposed to do it, we be still trying to do it, but we ain't, exactly. Like, because it becomes more appealing. And it also like diverts the attention from like where we're going to like this very temporal, like pleasurable thing that we just want to just reenact. So then when we actually do get together, it's more so us like, no, stop. But really we like it. So we're not gonna really, so I love that.
I feel like when you set your intentions from the beginning, it makes the process a lot easier. Like a lot of women, I would say, because I have a lot of sisters, a lot of family. I feel like you should speak up from the start and say, hey, I'm not doing this thing, or this is not how I want to live. Because that's going to shoo a lot of guys away that really kind of didn't have your best intentions. You could cut them from the start instead of getting into a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road. A lot of guys are not going to know how to handle that. And they might try to go out with you once or twice and be like, yeah, I'm out of here. Right. So you already have narrowed down the pot of the guys that you don't want. And then when a man and woman come together intentionally and say, you know what, this is really why I want to lead my life, and this is what I want to end with. I know it's going to be tough. I'm a human being, but let's help each other out. And just like that, make it that you can see that coming into play. And I've been in a situation where I'm like, all right, man, forget this. I'm going all in. And it's like, no. Remember what you said? And I remember what I said. You know what? You're right. Let's do something. And it's like a team. It's teamwork. It's not one person projecting their faith on another, which tends to happen in a lot of relationships and marriages, because two people, as we say, are unequally yoked, right? It's two people that say, hey, we're working on this together. We are human beings that will make mistakes, and I'm going to help you out if I see you leading down the path of making a mistake, quote unquote, but you're going to help me out if you see me down that path. You know what I mean? So I think I really would appreciate the intentionalism. Is that a word? Being intentional. When you come into it, it's a word that we're going to use tonight. We're going to make that word tonight. But I think that helps a lot. It helps ease the tensions and everything.
Yeah. So I got to be honest with you guys. I'm getting a lot of questions, and I see you ladies. I see y'all because I am you. So we're getting a lot of questions where women are like, hold on. Like, that's all well and good. It's a partnership. However, sometimes it can feel like the pressure of the abstinence is all on the woman. And I know from experience, they're like, well, I don't have. So one of our viewer friends was like, I don't have time to be trying to convince a practicing believer to that they should be, abstaining. And sometimes I feel like in relationships, that's how entering into the relationships, that's how women sometimes feel like I'm going to be the one who's going to want to be abstinent. He's not really going to really want or fight for that. So it's going to be like my job to make sure that I'm good. And it doesn't feel like, even though you guys are saying it is a partnership, it doesn't always feel like a partnership, because there needs to be some sort of like, when you have the introductory conversation about sex and all of that stuff, there is no like, yeah, I am doing my best, even if it's just I'm doing my best to maintain a lifestyle that is. There's usually, I hear you guys saying that doesn't really make it, like if you do, cool, but like you probably maybe won't. It's like, I just need to know, like, I think more women want to know that it's like it actually matters, and that you're going to do it anyway, whether they're there or another person is there, because it's like your personal relationship with God. So I don't know. Are you convicted? Like, is it a conviction of yours or is it not? Because I hear you saying it's like a partnership, and we'll try to work it out, but like, it don't really seem like it has that much importance. And then therefore women tend to think like, oh, well, since I think it's important, I'm the only one here that thinks it's important. And then if she's slipping on a day,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I felt like it wasn't a conviction until it was. And that's what I mean about being intentional, speaking up for yourself. Like if you come into it day one, and this is somebody that you deem is important enough to have this conversation with, and you don't only say, I'm abstaining from sex, but also this is what I believe. This is why I'm abstaining. This is how important this is to me. The guy that goes back and tries to do the opposite thing, that's not the guy you want to be with, right? You have to ask yourself a question. Why are you still pursuing this guy? Like, this guy is immediately trying to disrespect the lifestyle and your faith that you're trying to grow, right? Now I can see down the road, when you're saying like the conviction between, like, as we say, making the mistake. I think that's a conversation to be had down the road, because you've already established this person has your best interest at heart, and the guy has also showed the same thing. So now you can say, you know what, you're right. You did tell me about this, and you know what, I'm slipping a little bit. Thanks a lot. That's where I'm deeming the partnership, the teamwork. But at the beginning stages, no, you don't owe this person anything. You should speak up and say, and the guy should too as well. But in what I said at the beginning, I wasn't convicted about it until I was, because I've been through moments where I'm staying and I'm abstaining. And then like Cyrus said, somebody hits you up and they're blowing you up, and it's like, nothing to do, and it's Saturday night and you're bored and you're like, well, I'm by myself. Well, maybe they can come by. Yeah, nothing's gonna happen. I've been directly there. I'm gonna be completely honest. Nothing's gonna happen. Oh, maybe we can watch it. Oh, maybe. And there's a bunch of maybes that lead to something. When you wake up in the morning, you're like, yeah, man, I shouldn't have did that, man. I don't feel like my best self, and I don't understand why. And so I feel like that conversation from the jump, and seeing and being discerning enough to say, you know what, you're not. If that's not you, that's okay. You're a great person and all, but this is where I need to be in life. So I'm gonna hold off and kind of figure things out, because you're not there yet. Is gonna save you a world of trouble.
So I hear you guys saying, and I'm gonna let you, because I know Sai probably wants to say something, and I see you guys like thinking, cut the wheel spinning. But I guess what I hear you saying, I want to make sure that I got it right for everyone, is that it's a reluctancy for men in general to, even if they are like, that is a value for them, that they are like, it is a personal conviction. It's a reluctancy to vocalize that too early, because there are situations where temptation comes and then you fall, and then you have said like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. And then you can't really be like sincere with like this pure track record. Is that right?
That's how I felt before.
Your desire to live. I mean, no one's perfect. You want to live a life that is pleasing to God, but there are situations where we fall, we get up. And so you're just a little less vocal about, yes, I'm out here to be, yes, I'm abstaining. You can't do that, because you want to also honor like the truth of like where you're at. And it is a very real struggle for single people nowadays, right?
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, no, I respect it. I respect it, and I appreciate that perspective, because keeping it real, there are very real temptations. Somebody could hit you up, the ex could text you, and then you could be like, hey, hold on. We actually I do think that purity is a thing that we need to continuously, whether we're like in a relationship or not in a relationship or whatever our state of being is, that we should have like a mindset of purity. But I think it is challenging nowadays with social media. Everybody is, I mean, you could go on social media right now and probably see somebody naked. I actually saw a picture just like yesterday, and I was like, I don't. This is kind of pornish. But then it was in my head. And it was a guy, but in my head, what I thought immediately was like, women do this all the time. Women actually. Like, it was a guy that was like not covered. I think he had like a plant or something. I was like, Lord. But I thought to myself when I saw the picture, because I was like, this is a lot. I immediately thought women do this much more often than guys on social media. And it is like hard. It's challenging to kind of like avoid, so I have some, somebody, it's Angelo said, it's Anjo, sorry, I'm not trying to butcher your name. She said, I think you still owe the person honesty, covering a sister and brother in Christ, and honor and respecting them as a child of God. I think that's absolutely true. I think conversation and communication really does like help that. But in the beginning stages, like when you're first getting to know somebody, you kind of need to feel them out and see what their values are, right? And then you move to more so like, how are we? Like, who are you? And then how are we? Like, if we're good together, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big fact.
That's what's up. Did you want to say something else on that side?
I just wanted to say, I definitely agree that clearly the church, society, everybody pushes modesty, purity, having a low body count, all of that stuff on women, and almost give men completely a free pass to just kind of like do whatever. But that's not entirely true. Again, more of it is on women, but men definitely deal with it. We definitely talk in our circles and men's circles about, like, we check up on each other and be like, yo, what's going on with you? Type of thing. Like, oh, yo, what are your intentions with that girl you talking to? What's happening with all of that? I can personally say I don't have not one homeboy. I got a gang of homeboys. I got one homeboy that I could tell him, oh, I smashed this girl, and he gonna dap me up or think it's cool. Like, none of that. And ladies, if y'all know anything about men, we are very big on like talking to the fellas, talking to the guys and stuff. And so for me, like I said, I've encountered many, many times where women were pressuring me, or women turned me down because I was celibate, or because I was abstaining or whatnot. And I just men, we're not as vocal. We don't speak up as much. We don't post about, oh, fellas, if a girl rejects you because she's not willing to wait for you, then it's okay. God has better. Like, we don't talk. So we talk amongst one another. But I think it's believed that because y'all don't see the conversations, that they're not happening. These things happen constantly. They constantly happen. And so industries, it's definitely a very real thing that we deal with as well.
So Caleb, what is your kind of viewpoint on abstaining, and how is that kind of showing through in your dating experience now?
Yeah. Kind of like what Zach was saying. What did you say?
It was a joke. It was a bad joke. But go ahead.
But yeah, similar to what you were saying, you kind of need somebody to have, an accountability partner that's like not between the two of you. You need some outside person, because as sincere as the two of you could be, if you really feeling each other, you cannot trust each other. You just can't. You cannot trust each other.
Oh, that's real.
Definitely want to honor God with our relationship and everything, and we do, and we do have our boundaries, but and we respect those boundaries as well. But if something were to happen, like, you need to have that somebody that you can talk to and let them know what's going on between the two of y'all. also, I do think that even though it's a partnership, that it's still, and ultimately, the power is in our hands. I think it'll be hard pressed to find a woman that's going to like absolutely just, push you all the way there. In the sense of like, I guess I'm coming from the place where like you still have that leadership ability to say, we go on this far and no further. That I feel like that finally rests on us, opposed to ladies.
Oh, you get a whole bunch of claps from the comments because normally people do. I actually personally, Caleb, I actually personally agree with you. I think that women can do it until they can't do it no more. Like, I really feel like women, we're really good at like being like actually no for years and years and years. But like once it's like we find somebody that we actually kind of like, you're gonna have a difficult time. Yeah. So I definitely think that men play a very big role in maintaining the purity in the relationship, and that's not popular belief, but I do think that men have a power that they're not really tapping into there. I'm not sure, and I know that it's challenging, but all I'm saying is, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But
that's real.
I think both parties, and I'm not trying to make it seem like, one party is less susceptible to the other, because I think that both men and women are biologically inclined to do the same thing, right? We all appreciate intimacy, affection, and physical needs. We all appreciate that physical interaction. But I do think there's a power and a leadership ability that a man has that's different from a woman's. And I think this area is kind of an area where we're like getting beat, like we're actually getting like.
I really like what you said. I really like what you just said about leadership. I'm going to even keep that in my head, because as men, we have to practice to be leaders and leaders of our families and things like that. Because where I was going to go with it was one of the problems I found that was super surprising to me is when I really started chilling out and calming down and trying to find myself spiritually and do these things. Man, the pushback I got from women, I don't even like the word rejection, because it's not rejection, but when they feel rejected, I mean, some of the things that was said back and some of the ways is like, well, I'm going to make this happen and just show you. Like, I'd be like, nobody is going to believe what I'm saying. Like, nobody's going to believe that this scenario happened. And then it would really make me, to be honest with you, being very transparent here, it would make me kind of sit at home some night and kind of question God. Like, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. I'm in my crib. I didn't go anywhere. I prayed. Yeah. I did my work. I'm not doing anything wrong. And people are calling my phone, DMing and coming over. Hey, I'm around the corner. I'm doing this. I'm staying over.
Stop DMing Christian.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know how it is as a man. I feel like, man, I'm being pushed to my limit. I can't say no 100 times of the day. I can say no 98 times, right? And it used to bother me because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Because I know we're supposed to kind of put up these guardrails, but I feel like my guardrails are being attacked, right? But like you said, that it's that leadership. If you're going to be the man of your household and you're going to be spiritually rooted, then we need to focus on the leadership. And with leaders comes a lot of opposition, right? So that's what I was framing in my head a lot as is this is the opposing force to where I'm trying to go. And I did notice what my saving grace was when, as time passed, I found doors opening in my life, and I attributed it to the decision that I had made and some of the obstacles that I got through that I thought were very unfair as an older single man who's people, trying to date and come over and do certain things. I'm like, man, but I feel like the leadership aspect of what you just spoke to is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone said accountability partners, your spiritual parents, your friends, your pastors is all important to abstaining. So do you guys have those, do you guys utilize, do you find that that's somewhat helpful, having those people?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's especially for men, like if all of our homies are, it's good. Because I mean, like I'm blessed. Like I have homies that like there are certain girls I know I can't talk to because my homies are look and be like, bruh, she look good, but you see what she about, like straight up, you
Yeah.
know, and that's real. That's very real. I have a lot of homeboys that are like that, and I appreciate it because, you know, sometimes, you know, you might be able to finesse, like, you know, your parents, or you might be able to finesse, you know, your pastor or your mentor, but your friends, they like they're with you. They know what's going on. And so that's super important, super important. Now I take almost 100% heed to everything my homies say. If my homies are straight up, nah, bruh, then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you right. Like, even if I feel like they might be tripping, I'm like, nah, they not tripping. Like, they not tripping. They're just able to see what's going on spiritually. They're not blinded with the attraction like I am, or blinded emotionally how I might be. So accountability, friendships, you know, that's why the Bible, God constantly talks about friendships and who you have in your life. You know, even Jesus, like Jesus' closest friends were Peter, James, and John. Literally, the Son of God, his closest friends matter to him to keep him stable. And so, yeah, that's a major key.
I agree.
Okay, one last question before we. Oh yeah, Christian, you wanted to say something?
Oh no, I was just going to co-sign. Friends matter. Like, my friends started getting married at a very young age. I'm actually the only one that's not married out of my entire crew that everybody knows I grew up with. All athletes, all did great things, but most of them got married at young ages. Another one got married last year. So it's same thing Cyrus said. I couldn't go to my friends talking crazy because, I mean, they might hear one or two things, but if you keep, man, I'm out here doing this, doing that, they would be like,
yeah,
like, are you being serious with your life? Like, we all hold each other accountable in so many different ways. I tell a lot of people that saved my life, because if I was around a different set of people, they wouldn't have been able to tell me no, or I would have been like, you know what, I'm gonna do this thing. Okay, go do it. But now it's just a group of men that were trying to stand up.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, if you're around the wrong type of dudes, they'll probably bring a girl to you.
Right to you, exactly. That would never happen with my crew.
Yeah.
That's good. You got to keep good people around you. So, you guys, we had a one last question on this subject, and then we're gonna move on because I know but a couple of young ladies wanted to know, what is a good time to have the conversation about your values sexually? What is a good? Because, you know, I know we talked about it a little bit. Like, maybe it's not the best to do because you're trying to see who the person really is without contaminating and having them, motivating them to be somebody they're not, or having them say something that isn't really true just so that they can make a good impression. But when is a good time for you to kind of like have this conversation and figure out where her values are?
I would still say in the beginning, and let it be an ongoing conversation as well. But it needs to be lay all that out in the beginning. Like, we don't got time for the games. Like, either it's we on the same page or we not, and I don't need to know that further later down the line, or you're wasting my time, and I don't appreciate that.
That's why he 8 months in.
Yeah, man, we gotta learn from Caleb. But I agree with him. I agree with him as early as possible. I wouldn't say on the first message or the first conversation, you know, because even if you weren't spiritual, why would you be talking about sex the first time you talk to someone? But I feel like, you know, that doesn't, you know, but I feel like it would be unfair to say on the second date, third date. We're all adults who have discerned when we should start kind of the conversation around what we might be doing next, because we feel like we like this person, we've hung out enough, and there's something coming next. And that's when the conversation, I think, either around that time period, which is still super, super early. It could be 2 weeks in if you're really hanging out a lot, or when you start, I like to converse a lot. So I like to get in a deep conversation off the jump. That's how I already know I'm gonna like you. It's not about your looks and what your status is. I like really good conversation. So within deep conversation, that should probably come up at some point, like where we're rooted at. And that's going to come up in terms of your values and what you're trying to do, especially when you like someone. I feel like a guy that likes you is going to talk to you and want to get to know you.
Wait, okay. Ooh, let's pause. Let's stick a pause right there. So, is he gonna talk to you or is he gonna text you? I just need to know for somebody, like for my neighbor. Is there a difference in is there a difference? Like, do guys think that texting is talking? I just want to know from a communicator.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, it all depends on the person. A guy can really, I've really liked some people, but just because of our schedules and time and what we had going on, I would text them a lot more than we would talk on the phone. But it still meant a lot to me. I still was asking very rich questions. I still was giving like long text answer responses to really give responses. But on the flip side, I've also had people where we barely text, but we talked on the phone a lot. And so I don't think I definitely want to caution ladies to not think, oh, this guy doesn't like me because he texts me. But it's more so, what is the content of the texting and the conversation about? What is he asking you? Is he asking real legitimate questions, or is it just simply, how's your day going? Oh, what you do? Stuff like that. But is he like really trying to get to know you even through text? And then if you want to talk, if you want to communicate more, just let him know. Be like, hey, like for me as a woman, I love to talk on the phone. And I would love it if you would take initiative to call me sometimes. Yeah. It's that some men just don't know. And so some men are like, oh, cool. I've actually met women where, based on our interactions, I thought they didn't want to talk on the phone. And then they will bring it up and be like, oh, no, I actually want to talk on the phone. On the flip side, I met someone last year. She just liked to text. She talk on the phone. So it's not a male or female thing. It's really just, it's a case by case person. But again, the main thing to focus on is the content, the richness of the conversation and what they're asking. Because somebody could talk to you on the phone and still talk about nothing, like all day. They could still ask you dumb questions. They don't leave really anything seriously. So we should all,
it's the quality of the conversation.
What are we talking about? You know, how deep are we trying to go? Just like Christian was saying, like what are we trying to go to? Where are we trying to get to? In terms of asking that question about, like, you know, basically anything like with sex purity, I agree with them ASAP. Like, yeah, definitely ASAP. So yeah, not first conversation, but once y'all realize, okay, like there's something here where we're clearly interested, then yeah, just be like, yo, like how do you view this, and how have you handled these situations, sexual situations before?
Yeah. I like that. Tiara said it's never good to have unvocalized expectations.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm gonna steal that one.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong. Raymond says there's nothing wrong with asking what's preferred. After known, focus on giving her what she wants, her or him. I like that. I like that aspect of just like determining what the preferred communication is.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Let's move on to the next. I need to have y'all. Okay.
Personal anecdote.
Because I got. Okay, so I want to move here. So, what, if anything, did your parents teach you about relationships? Watching them. What did watching them teach you, if anything, about relationships?
I feel like if I didn't have the dad that I had, I'd be a totally different person. I feel like I would have baby mothers right now and everything. And I'm being completely honest with you. I was adopted into a household at a couple months old that had my father was a preacher, and my mother was a foster parent, raised a lot of young kids, right? And I got to see, and my mother passed away 15 years ago, but I got to grow up in a household. I'm telling you, out of every friend I ever had growing up, I was the only household that had two parents. My dad never talked about, I thought it was the weirdest thing, never encouraged me to sleep around or do anything. And I used to be so angry at him. I'd be like, man, the other dude, man, they stepfather this person around, like they taking them out to get girls. Man, you so lame. I used to think he was so lame. And he brings flowers. I thought he was the lamest. I was like, I got the lamest dad. You know, like, all you want to talk about is God, right? But then as my mother got sick and I watched him take care of her, and I became proud as I've got in my 20s about, I never saw the guy do anything he said he wasn't gonna do. I grew up, I never saw this man curse. I never saw this man lift the drink. I never saw this man talk about other women. I never saw those things. So when I started to become a man, you know, you start to gain an experience and want to be better. Everybody hits that moment. I had somebody to reflect off. But the crazy thing to me was I couldn't think of another human being to have that reflection from except for my dad. So I felt like God put him in my life to see and have that mindset that even when I wanted to make a mistake, I was like, well, my dad, that's one man I can stand on and say, well, he didn't do that thing. So it's possible not to do that thing. It's possible not to cheat on your wife. It's possible. So when I talk to friends about that type of scenario. I have people, we have these debates where it's like, nah, I believe that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I'm not saying I'm never going to make a mistake, but I'm saying it's possible not to do it. So I'm going to strive for that possibility because I saw a real scenario of a man that didn't do those things.
Man, shouts out to good fathers. Yeah, that's dope.
Right.
I really love that a whole lot. I'd have to reflect on my own father as well. At first, I was thinking about my parents. The first thing that came to my mind was just the fact that love might involve conflict, but that doesn't mean that at the end of the day that, you know, you still love that person and you're still willing to make it work because that's your commitment and you're willing to make it work. So that means changing if you need to change, and doing what you need to do for your partner, for your partnership to work out. For the long run. But you just talking about your dad, that just made me think a lot about mine. You know, without that example, I definitely wouldn't be, you know, the way I am. I'd be out there, like way out there. You know, having a godly home to grow up in. But then, I don't know, my dad's from the South. I'm from the South, and he, you know, passed on those, you know, call it Southern hospitality and, you know, being a gentleman, like all that stuff, like that's me, and it's something to be proud of, but it's also something that just, I don't know, it's shaped how I communicate with other women, because I've seen how he takes care of my mom. It's just like there's certain things that a lot of guys I know, especially growing up, that you know, I wouldn't communicate with women the same way. I wouldn't address them the same ways. I wouldn't relate to them in the same way. Like I feel like, you know, they're literally prized people. But like, you know, especially if they, you know, are that person that I'm going to decide to be my person. You know what I'm saying? Person that I want to be with. So, to me, that's just really incredible gift. I didn't really consider. I've probably never really considered it like that. So just now. So
shout out to all the fathers who did that in. Yeah, that's dope.
That's fire. Yeah, I didn't have that. I was raised partially by my mother. I've actually lived with a lot of different family members and people growing up. I have a weird story of growing up, but my mother, God bless her, my mom was a woman of God, loves the Lord. But my mom's rule when it came to girls was that I had to bring the prettiest one home, and that was really something yeah, it was. Usually people say, "Oh, it's the father or the men who are like that." But my mother, the first girl I brought, that my mother saw, when the girl left, my mother seemed like a nice girl. You know, I think my sons should always have the prettiest of the prettiest, and that was like her mentality. And that was because the context she grew up in, where she was a model that came from the country, and she was the pretty girl. So she viewed like a woman's beauty as her ticket. So she felt like, okay, men are called to be successful, you know, and women are called to be really attractive.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the person growing up, I didn't care about that. And literally when my mother said that, I was like, whoa. And, you know, to be a boy and hear your mother say that, it's like, wow. And so, yeah, that, but
it must be true.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, and then but I am blessed though because when I became a Christian, God put different men in my life in different seasons, and all of those different men, they were such great examples for me to see that at least it showed me a different picture. It showed me examples, godly examples, and so you know, every day I choose to lean towards those examples, but definitely always still like acknowledging those traumatic experiences growing up of being told that like beauty is the most important.
Yeah, no, that's so real. Wow. So do you speaking of that, because your mom had this very like and it is to an extent, it is it has roots in like kind of where we came from, because it was something to be someone who was attractive. You were tended to be more likely to be taken care of, more likely to be desired, and not. I can honestly say not that much has. You know what I'm saying? We haven't, but I'm saying, from us doing the paper bag test to like, do they meet a certain level of standard? So that kind of makes sense given the historical kind of like where we came from and kind of like how people view what men are to do and what women are to do or for. Like women are more so props and men are more so like workers or whatever. So that kind of brings us into this conversation about gender roles. Is it like modern? Is it 50? Is it like, do you feel and not from like what you've heard other people say per se, but do you feel like your desire is to have an evenly keeled home with equal gender roles, or is there a significant difference in how you think you should conduct yourself, or how should you be the provider and should she be the homemaker, or is that just up for discussion?
In marriage, so I don't know who all might be aware of what this means, but I am complementarian. And so I do believe in the husband being the protector, the leader, the provider, and the wife being the helpmate, and her like walking in submission with her husband. And so, but a man is called to provide, period. That doesn't mean his wife can't help provide. That doesn't mean she can't have a job. That just means I'm not allowed to not work. I can't be like, I'm just not going to work, babe, and you make enough money, so you just pay all the bills, and I'm going to just shop. And I don't have this weird relationship where you my sugar mama. Like, biblically, that's not okay. But on the reverse, I can pay all the bills. And if my wife doesn't want to work, of course she should be working on something that God has called, that's placed in her heart. But if my wife doesn't want to work, she doesn't have to work. If my wife wants to work, that's completely fine. Get your bag. That's our bag at the end of the day. We about to run up these numbers. So, so that's totally cool. On the flip side, obviously, biblically, the wife is the keeper of the home. She's the manager of the home. Does that mean that she's the only one that should be cooking and cleaning? No, I know how to cook. I know how to clean. So I'm completely fine with my wife and I cooking together. I'm completely fine with there being times where I just do all the cooking or I do all the cleaning. But at the end of the day, she can't forsake taking care of the house. But I can definitely, as a husband, lead by example by stepping up and caring for the house. Yeah, I don't believe in like the patriarchal like men being rude or tearing their woman down. I believe that the wife. I mean, even I'm about to get a little deep, but even like in the Hebrew, in the Greek, when the term for a wife being like a helper or helpmate is literally the same term used for the Holy Spirit being our helper and helpmate, and the same way Jesus constantly acknowledged the Holy Spirit, the same way Jesus was empowered by the Holy Spirit, the same way Jesus mentioned the Holy Spirit being such a blessing is the same thing that a husband is for, the same thing a wife is for her husband. So I think even though a man is called to lead his wife, that a man would be in sin if he does not strongly consider every bit and piece of advice his wife has to say. And that I believe God will judge a man strictly if he does, judge a husband if he does for his wife. Those are my views.
I agree with Cyrus. I don't believe in the minutia of the gender roles, as in cooking and cleaning. Like, hey, if you're a man and you're a chef, you should probably be the one cooking. You know what I mean? Or you can cook better. I feel like in those things, whoever does what well, you team up, you're a partnership. But in terms of the household, I do believe that a man should always strive to be the breadwinner of his household, and that he can always protect the family if need be. Now we live in 2020, say your show blows up and you making $10 million and you sponsored by Spotify, and I'm a lawyer or something, I might not make 10 million, you know what I mean? But also I'm like, well, you're obviously bringing in more money. But I feel like as a man, that shouldn't make you comfortable to sit back on your laurels. You should still find ways to try to lead the household, try to grow your finances, try to get put in position so you can still, I don't want to make it all about, it's not, when we talk about finances, it's not about just about money per se. It's about being the breadwinner and being a leader in terms of where the household is going, how you're raising your children, what is happening, you know, being able to pull your wife and say, hey, let's pray today because we're having a rough time. We've been debating a little bit. Let's talk. So there's so many forms of being a leader. The man, I feel like if his household fails, I feel like nobody's going to say, oh, she wasn't doing this.
It was the man.
Crazy. It's always going to be your fault, no matter what. So you better step up. You know what I mean? I just don't believe in that. But again, you have to grow to that. Like I love the stories of people that come together. Maybe you were in a different position than I was in school, or maybe, you know, I had a lower job, but I had a plan to come up, but you had a higher position because your education was better. That's okay. I don't want to make it, because a lot of guys, they get nervous with the finance part and start making bad decisions. No. You can grow together, but your ultimate goal should be to be the breadwinner, protector of your household, and the leader in a spiritual way.
Amen.
I agree with both of y'all. I'm all for egalitarian relationships, but how that works out, it's really between the couple. Who's doing what's between the couple, but the responsibility of doing things like y'all talk about, protecting the family, being a breadwinner, the responsibility that belongs with the man. And it's as simple as that, you know. However, at the end of the day, it falls on you. So they cover it all, you know. I agree.
So I'm gonna try not to keep y'all. We're gonna do like a couple more questions and then we're gonna be done. But this is really, really good. So I appreciate these perspectives. Somebody wants to know what are attributes that you want in a future spouse? Like what is most important to you when it comes to looking for your future spouse? What matters?
Understanding.
Yeah.
You want more?
I mean, do you want more? That's the question.
I would say understanding of me, who I am, what I am. Literally, it's someone that can like gel, like connect, and really care for you, and actually, like I said, understand you. And I say that especially because I'm different. I'm so different, and everybody thinks they're different. And everyone is different, but like I'm like really, really different, and, and like I'm not for everybody. And not everybody gets that until you know they start to get it, because they're like, oh, you're different, and I'm like, yeah. And so I think someone that can relate to you on a very, very deep and intimate level, that's kind of the most important. Well, not I would say the most important, but it's something that I really, really look for and really, really care about.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the fact that, you know, like that's not for everybody, and that's okay. Like I'm not for everybody, so you know, just finding the person that works well with me.
Yeah, I like. I've been praying and looking for someone who is a hard worker. I'm very inspired and motivated by like just a woman who can work hard. Like that's so attractive to me. And I like a very like healthy competition when it comes to grinding. Because it's so dope, and it's so amazing to see just a woman like killing the game, and it inspires me even as a man to go harder. So I definitely like I've definitely been praying for a wife that is a hard worker, someone who, but also someone who like has a strong personality. And because I have a relatively strong personality, and I need a woman that sometimes can like, you know, lovingly check me and be like, babe, I love you, but we're not gonna do that. And I really appreciate that in a woman, a strong woman in those ways. And so also for me is someone, and this might sound like a catch-22, because I want someone who's strong, but I also want someone that knows how to use their words, that they care about how they make me feel when they say things. And to me, that's very, 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 very important. And lastly, I would say, and of course, obviously, we want someone who's godly, someone we're attracted to, all of that. But lastly, I would say someone who is who loves hard and has like a sacrificial love. And so even though as Christians we should have that, does not have that who is a Christian, unfortunately. And so for me, that's someone who, who they're fighting to forgive. They're fighting. No, to me that's just important. Somebody who's like growing in godliness, growing in grace, growing in forgiveness, all of that.
I think on my end, I think the obvious, we can put that in a box because that's obvious. The same faith, the same growth mindset in terms of our spirituality, right? But I think for me personally, I really need someone, the intellect part to me, the conversational part in terms of being like curious about the world and being able to converse about many different topics and in a way that I respect is a big deal for me. I just find it hard time conversing with anyone that I know they didn't do the work within themselves to have a conversation about what they're talking about. There's a lot of people that have crazy conversation or think they know what they're talking about or just lean on their education in school per se. But when a woman can sit down and she can teach me something or we can have back and forth, I think, man, that just endears me like on such a higher level you wouldn't even understand, right? Much more than if a woman came at me about some superficial revelation or something like that. And that leads to what another thing that Cyrus said. I have a very strong personality, and that is just something that this is the way it's going to be. But I really enjoy. A lot of people think, and I've been in relationships or situationships, I should say, where they think that I want someone to be passive, and that's actually not true. I don't want that. I know men that want that, but you don't get that thing. Right. I don't want that. I don't want somebody that every idea I say, that's the best idea I've ever heard. Let's go do it. I got your back. You know what I mean? I hate that. That turns me up. Like people be like, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, nah, that's a bad idea. And this is why I love that. Like I love speak. You talk, we're going back and forth. It's not a dictatorship. I don't want anybody, again, I can't knock what somebody else want, but I don't want anybody that when I speak, they're just like, okay, you're the boss. I do whatever you say. I want someone that we can have a healthy growth.
That's what you don't want that. You don't want the whatever you like.
I don't want whatever I say goes because I don't know everything. I want someone whose intellect I respect just as much to be like, you know what, that might be the right way to go. And we're going together. We're not just doing everything I say like I have a child or something. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's real. That's real. So someone said, what's a need versus a want? Like what's one need? Like you need a thing.
I feel like in relationships, needs and wants can be very much the same per se, because everything's what do you need in a relationship besides the person to be alive? I don't know, like what else do you need? You know what I mean? Yeah, everything's a want per se, but sometimes we gotta respect our wants. Like sometimes we talk about wants like there's something we shouldn't have. Like our wants sometimes are gifted from us from our personalities that came from when we were born, right? Like my sister's not a conversationalist. It would annoy her to have someone that talks too much. She likes to do other things, right? That's her need or her want, right? My want is somebody that plays off what I'm doing. So everybody's needs and wants, I think that's the same thing. They come from our internal reflection on ourselves. Now, some of our wants, I will say, are superficial, but I think that comes from other things. Like I used to want the most beautiful woman that I ever seen that could walk in the room and do this, but that's because I wanted to impress people. That's not a real want. That's me not being confident in who I am as a man. But once I became confident in that, my wants became more rooted in who I was, who I am as a person.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
I do believe in deal breakers that aren't necessarily like sinful. And so for me, a deal breaker is a need is someone who really cares about growth. They care about them growing like in their mental health. They care about growing in their understanding of business and finances. They care about growing in their walk with God. They care about, growing, like maybe like working out or exercise, like someone who's really intent. Because people talk about like growth, but it seems like a theory with a lot of people. It seems like something people just talk about. But for me, something that's important is someone that's really going to do it. Because we all know, like, there will be times in relationships where, I'll make mistakes or something will happen, or they'll make mistakes. And if I'm asked to work on
Sorry, guys.
how you feel?
That's my fault. I don't know how to turn it off.
You did it.
See, you use your intellect to turn off the FaceTime.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. No, so
Sorry.
yeah, I don't want to be with someone where if I have to bring up a problem or an issue, whether it's something in their walk with God, where I'm like, babe, like, you really, really falling off, all due respect, or just, anything in general.
All respect, yeah, actually.
Yeah, but there's someone like they can take criticism, they're gonna do something with it. Because too many people, they just want to say they're going to change or they're going to work on themselves, and they never do it. So for me, someone who is very intentional about, like, they're growing even without me there, because they care about growth just in and of themselves.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Okay, this is the last question. Someone said, I just want to read some of these. Ashley was like, Cyrus gets on my nerves. I know. He like, actually, you need to get yourself together. Self-awareness is key for, come on now, Christian. Self-awareness is key. Absolutely. Women are super intelligent. Some just don't apply it. Paul coming with the shade. Rude. I don't appreciate that. Okay, this is the last question I want to kind of ask you guys. What is something that you want single women to know? And for largely, from your experience, I know, Caleb, you're in a committed relationship, which is great. I think I found her in the comments. Hey, girl. But so what is something that, generally speaking, you want for the health and wealth of the community? You want women, single women, to really understand?
I would say, and this is going to answer this question and the last question as well. It's a personal need, but something a lot of women seem to miss. Just like you need maturity from men need maturity from you as well. And like I said earlier, I just don't have time for the games. and like,
Caleb's not here for the shenanigans.
I'm really not. Like, say what you want, mean what you say. It's literally just, I want someone to be an adult, because I can't respect you as my partner if you're over here acting like you're in high school, middle school, playing. Like, if you are genuinely interested in someone, say so. If you're not, say so. Like, I feel it's not gonna be hurt. Like, not to be like, feeling myself, but like, I know what I bring to the table, and so just communicate and say what you mean. That's all, Women up.
Mean what you say what you mean. That's right.
That's big. I really want to, I know women, ladies, y'all go to the single ladies. I know y'all deal with a lot of trash dudes. It's just a very known thing that there are a lot of trash men out there, like, straight up. And I'm sorry for that. I want to truly, truly encourage y'all to not base how good of a woman you are on how much better you were than the man you dated. And what I mean by that is, I've experienced, a lot of men experience where unfortunately, like, you will meet 10 men that, for instance, all of them might be like cheaters. And because you're not a cheater, you think you've arrived, you think you're ready for a good man, because, and the bar you're judging is that you are better than all your trash exes. But the bar that all of us should be seeking, and it's going to sound super cliche, but the bar that all of us really should be seeking is truly Christ. And
yes,
and I understand in our singleness, it feels like, oh, that person, there's not a person out there like that, especially as women. Men, we deal with that too. We feel like, oh, there ain't no woman out there like that. Ladies, I know y'all deal with that. And because you feel that isn't out there, you settle sometimes for who you currently are versus who you could become. But you will hate just as many men who don't grow themselves. You will hate to meet a man who is ready, is prepared, is mature, has done the work on himself, his emotional health, his mental health, his financial health, you know, all of that he's done the work. And now you meet him and you're like, whoa, I didn't know I prayed, I didn't know this was really going to come, and I'm actually not ready. And now that man has to suffer while he tries to like help grow and mature you, or because you're not where you should be, you don't even fully recognize him for the man he is, or you're bored because you've mistaken drama for excitement in a relationship. And sometimes you mistake a peaceful relationship for a boring relationship. And so it's really important. And I'm just saying this to ladies because y'all are, the question was framed towards y'all. It's something I say to fellas a lot, but it's super important. Please continue working on yourself, because at some point in time, you are going to meet somebody and you do not want to wish that you had started your own.
Yeah, no, that's good. I love that.
I would agree. I'm basically going to co-sign and say almost the same thing. I talk to my guy friends about this, but this question specifically for women, it's the same thing. There's growth in the valley. Like a lot of us, we tired of being quote unquote alone or single or whatever it is that we're not happy with in our lives. But that's really time to work on yourself. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. They think it's cliche. It's like, nah, I need to date. I need to do this. I need to do that. But that's how you end up coming across a lot of trash, quote unquote, guys, a lot of trash guys, right? Because you're not patient enough. And you're kind of like, I've been patient enough, so now I'm just going to go date this guy, right? There's so many red flags, but you're just still going to do it. And then you ended up wasting time, wasting tears, wasting emotional energy, all these different things. So if I could say anything, when I think about speaking to women, I always think about what would I say to my daughter or my sisters or my mothers, my aunts. I have lots of women around, family. I want them to be happy. This is not any male chauvinism. I want them to be happy, right? But I know that they're not going to be happy if they just take what's in front of them. There's a term that I always think about is setting the dinner table when there's no food. Like if the food comes and you don't have your plates and forks ready, you can't eat it anyway. So you got to set the dinner table. You got to put the plates there. You got to set the forks there perfectly, because you got to have that faith that food's going to come, right? Even if you don't see it, you know it's going to come. So when God gives you the food, you can eat it, right? So I think that about my life all the time. I think how, you know what, I don't see where this person may come from, or I don't see this aspect, but I'm still going to learn and grow myself and grow spiritually and mentally and professionally, because when that person does come and they're everything that I hope they would be, I'm going to be the person that matches them. I'm not going to be down here. I'm going to be the person that, okay, we see each other on the same plane. And I guarantee you that's going to happen. Every single young lady that's on here, I guarantee if you set the dinner table in your own life, you're going to come across that man that's looking for exactly what you have to offer. And you don't need to settle one bit for any person that does not fit where you're trying to go with your life. You do not have to settle.
Yeah. That's good.
I love those answers, guys. They're good. I feel like so many times women get to say, you know, what they want men to know. And I don't know that we always hear well what you guys think, you know, and want. So I'm so really happy that just to get your perspective, and this is like, you know, and really like listen, really hear and let it like soak in. And so I really appreciate it. A lot of people are going crazy. They're like, yep, I agree, preach. I mean, because it is a real thing. Sometimes we say like, I'm so angry that I don't have, you know, this job or this house or whatever, but we can't pay the property tax. We not gonna be able to.
Yeah, that's real.
No, you're not gonna be able to do the amount of work you got to do to get that little promotion that you mad that you got passed over.
Exactly.
And it's so key that we really do like work on ourselves. I know a lot of people and I just want to take a second to encourage everybody, male, female, because I know a lot of times it may seem like we are delayed or whatever. We're not where we want to be in the relationship that we want to be, or whatever the case may be. But there's something happening that needs to actually happen all the time, because God wouldn't be who he is. You know what I mean? And so I really, really love those answers. Everybody's like really good. I think that's great. I guess one thing that you guys, and then we can close out, one thing that you want to do before you actually get married. Like, what's the thing that's like on your bucket list, like before marriage bucket list? I need to do this. Or is there anything? It could be nothing. It could be like, I could actually get married tomorrow.
I've done everything I could do single. I ain't got nothing else to do single. It ain't fun like that. It ain't fun cooking all the food and eating it by yourself. It ain't fun going on trips and you ain't got nobody to, you know what I'm saying, be tender all in another city or something. That ain't, dog, I ain't doing that. I've done everything. So there's nothing I need to do before I get married, but just
ready
to get better as a man. Just keep getting better.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that there are other areas that I'm trying to grow in, but I'm definitely at a place. I'm at a very healthy place right now in my life where I can grow and like have like a partner in my life as I'm growing. So I'm not at a place where it would do damage if someone was in my life. It would hurt me or I would hurt them. I'm at a very great place where I'm definitely ready for someone to be in my life, and where we can continuously grow together and just start building together. Start building, continue building the kingdom, building businesses, building each other, all of that.
That's what's up.
My only thing is school. I love to give, and I want to give everything I can to this person. So I just want to be able to give my undivided as much as I can. And so that's literally the only thing I'm looking forward to doing things with. So I'm not trying to do X, Y, and Z before per se.
You better give your undivided, Caleb. You better. No, you guys are so cute. I love it. Someone earlier in the comments, and I couldn't stop because there's so many comments and questions. So I'm so sorry if we didn't get to the questions, but we definitely will do this again. Someone said we need to hear from men of God more often. But someone earlier, just to let you know, Caleb, was like, if he don't look at me, if he don't smile the way Caleb's smiling in this live, then it ain't it. It ain't happening. We need that Caleb energy. So I love it. Thank you guys so much. Do you want to plug any projects, any businesses before we go? Let the people know what you're into, what you're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. So as earlier, y'all, I have a business called Be the Post. And y'all, this is gonna be something that's gonna be really, really amazing for the church, for the Christian community. I know we don't have many outlets, many hangouts, many things to do for believers where it's not like a church type. Like we need events, atmospheres, gatherings where it's conducive for a man to approach a woman, and where it's conducive for ladies, y'all, to go with your friends looking cute. And so I've built a couple of those things here in Atlanta. But I've been working, my tech company, Be the Post, we're geared towards spreading that across the world. So definitely be on the lookout for that. If you can go to my page, I'm just Cyrus. And if you click on, or you can just type in Be the Post, or type that in on in Instagram or on Facebook, like the page, all of that, so that you can see. Honestly, we're ready to start launching a lot of things. Right now, the team and I are just building and just waiting to make sure everything is safe so we can hit the ground running. So we want to plant some in cities. So any city you're at, we're going to create some things there and just really make it great for the Christian community to give people more things to do.
Paul said Club Jesus. Yes. I love it.
That's funny.
No, that's really dope. Please follow at Be the Post.
Yes.
Make sure that you're keeping up to it. Jalissa tagged it. No, not Be the Post, Jalissa. Be the Pulse. Pulse.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Y'all got anything else going on?
I would say on mine, I saw somebody say, where's the 35 and older at? My conversation was 35 and older because I'm 38 years old. So I'm coming from that perspective. Yeah, a little black don't crack, no grays still.
Yes.
So we drink water and pray a lot. But
you can have shea butter.
But I would just say, just go to my Instagram at Christian Benjamin. You're gonna see everything I'm doing. And the thing that I'm working on that's nearest and dearest to my heart is my Monday Motivation book. I put out Monday Motivations every week on YouTube and on an email list that has a a lot of subscribers. So I'm turning it into a book. I have a lot of people kind of anticipating it. So I'm really trying to put my heart into it, and it's been a big deal. So if you just follow that page there, you'll see everything else that I have going on, like all that other stuff. But the Monday motivation is the most important to me, just kind of setting the table for people. I always felt like at the beginning of a week, you know, even before all this stuff started, we were taught to wait for the weekend, live for the weekends. There's 2 days, and it's really 1.5 days, right? But I'm like, nah, when I was coming into the businesses I started, and I'll be looking around like, man, I love Mondays. I'm about to create something exceptional all week. This is the best day ever. So I started writing passages and speaking words to how we could work on ourselves. It might be about relationships or dating or whatever. And I always frame everything as none of this really comes from me. It comes from God. I'm not smart enough to know everything. But there's experiences that I've had that I feel like when you come into the week, you can say, you know what, I'm going to work on this today. I'm going to work on communication. I'm going to work on being on time. I'm going to work on something deeper. I'm going to work on, you know, who I'm around, whatever it is, you set your week that way, and it's going to be a much more intentional, enjoyable week. So that's what I'll plug.
Absolutely. That's lovely. I love that. I love that motivating factor. We definitely need more things that are positive and motivating. And let's just keep it 100, organizational. So what you got going on, Caleb? You finishing school? I know that you're trying to get that done so you can go ahead and exit out the single.
Yeah. Well, Kingdom Writers is my brand. And like I said earlier, it's really focused on writing and worship, but also mental health and well-being in general. So we're going to be doing a conference in the fall, and it's going to be a virtual conference since I'm not gonna set myself up thinking everything's going to be straight already. I'm going to go ahead and plan for it to be virtual, and it'll be really exciting. It's mainly for artists. Kingdom Writers kind of caters to artists more so than anybody else. But then we also bring in that mental health piece, and we try to encourage everybody. It doesn't matter if you're like actually an artist or a writer or whatever, it doesn't really matter. What's cool about it is what it does for you up here, and it's spiritually. So you can learn more about it either at kingdomwriters.org or hit me up on social media. My Instagram is Caleb.Deas. It's on there. And you can also follow on Kingdom Writers. It's literally just the name, Kingdom Writers. So just follow us.
Yes, and I love it just really amazing things going. And I'm super grateful for you guys, men of God. Thank you for joining. A lot of us, for y'all who are wondering, a lot of us are in the 30 club. Like y'all trying to play us like we mad young or something. Yeah. I think Caleb is the youngest one, right? So
did she freeze?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, you
got the age.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Okay, cool. So anyways, like, thank you guys so much for being guests. I love this so much. We're gonna get out because we're definitely on CP time. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all, you know, some of y'all was asking repeat questions. Y'all gotta get it together too. We gonna have it. So before I go though, I would never leave without just saying a prayer over everybody. So let's just, if you are in here and you've never, been introduced to Christ, you've never had the most important relationship that you could have, then definitely just want to take this time to let you know that he is the person that you want to be in relationship with. Like, I can't begin to tell you the extent, because it would just be 100% of how my life has changed since really getting serious about my relationship with him. So if you don't happen to know Christ, I just would give you this opportunity to really just accept him and just as your father and as someone who's going to cover, no matter if you're single, married, the desires of your heart. Like, all you have to do is really accept and receive Jesus Christ, believe that he died for you, that he rose on the third day, that he loves you and wants more for your life. And so welcome to the faith. If that's you, we appreciate you. We're happy that you joined us. He is the most important relationship. Ain't gonna be no sex that you're gonna have that's gonna really top your relationship with him. So I just need you to know, like, no relationship, no anything can really fulfill that place in your heart where he is. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Feel free to message me if you would like to talk more on some of these issues, or even just learning more about relationship in Christ. And thank you guys to all of our panelists. Cyrus, make sure you follow Cyrus, Caleb, and Christian in their different endeavors. Y'all want to say anything else to the people before we roll out?
Love y'all. Thanks.
Thank you. I love you. That's what I want to say. I love you.
Yes, yes, yes. Love in the body. And yes, this will be this will be live on YouTube and Facebook for all the people wondering who missed some of it. You guys, y'all don't have to go home there, but we'll see you on the next game.
All right. Bye.